Today we're diving into the fascinating world of firmware and software, the unsung heroes of our digital age. You might not see them, but they're the silent forces powering every single gadget in your life, from your smartphone to your smart fridge. Understanding the difference between these two is like unlocking a secret level of tech knowledge, giving you a deeper appreciation for the devices you use every day. Trust me, it's way more exciting than it sounds. Once you get it, you'll see your gadgets in a whole new light. We're talking smartphones, laptops, even your trusty microwave. All these devices rely on a complex interplay of firmware and software. They all rely on the intricate dance between firmware and software, working together seamlessly to bring your gadgets to life. Think of it like a delicious cake. Firmware is the base recipe baked into the oven, while software is the frosting and decorations that make it unique and functional. Without a good base, your frosting will just melt into a goopy mess, ruining the entire experience. And without the right software, your gadgets are about as useful as a brick, unable to perform even the simplest tasks. So buckle up, because we're about to break down the difference between these two tech titans and see how they work together to make your digital life possible. Let's get started on this exciting journey. First up, let's talk about firmware. It's a term you might have heard but never really understood. This is the unsung hero, the behind-the-scenes worker that most people don't even realize exists. It's crucial for the smooth operation of your devices. Basically, firmware is a type of software, but it's super specialized. Unlike regular software, it's designed to work closely with the hardware. It's like the operating instructions permanently etched into your hardware. These instructions ensure that your device functions correctly from the moment you turn it on. We're talking about things like your computer's BIOS, the code that kicks in the moment you press the power button, initializing the hardware and loading the operating system, or the firmware in your headphones that handles Bluetooth pairing, making sure your devices connect seamlessly. This stuff is embedded deep within the hardware, running the show at a low level. It's the silent conductor of your device's orchestra. Firmware usually doesn't change very often. Updates are rare but crucial, often fixing bugs or adding new features. It's designed to be reliable and do its specific job without needing constant updates. Stability is key. Think of it like the foundation of your house. You don't want to be messing with that every other week. It needs to be solid and dependable, providing a stable base for everything else. Now let's move on to software, the stuff you probably interact with every day. This is where things get exciting. Software is all about flexibility and user control. Think apps on your phone, video games, or even the operating system that makes your computer go boop. Unlike firmware, which is tied to specific hardware, software is more like a digital nomad. It can run on different devices as long as they speak the same language, like Windows or Android. And the best part, software is constantly evolving. Developers are always pushing out updates, adding features, and squashing bugs. It's like having a team of tiny digital construction workers constantly renovating and improving your digital world. This constant evolution is what makes software so powerful and adaptable. Okay, time for a head-to-head comparison. Let's dive into the fascinating world of firmware and software. Firmware and software are both essential components in the tech ecosystem, but they play very different roles and have unique characteristics. Think of firmware as the referee in a sports game, making sure all the hardware components play nice together and follow the rules. It's all about stability and low-level control, ensuring that the hardware operates smoothly and efficiently. Software, on the other hand, is the star player on the field. It's what you interact with directly, giving you the power to do all sorts of amazing things, from browsing the internet to playing games. It's all about flexibility and user experience, making your interactions with technology seamless and enjoyable. To sum it up, level of operation. Firmware operates behind the scenes at the hardware level, ensuring everything runs smoothly, while software runs on top of the firmware, interacting directly with the user. Update frequency. Firmware updates are less frequent and often more complex, requiring specialized knowledge, while software updates are more common and generally simpler, often just a click away. Modifiability. Firmware is typically difficult to modify without specialized tools and expertise, while software is designed to be more easily modified and updated, allowing for continuous improvement and new features. Purpose firmware ensures hardware functionality and reliability, acting as the backbone of your device, while software provides user functionality and applications, making your device useful and enjoyable. Section 5. A dynamic duo, how they work in harmony. Now, even though firmware and software seem like different beasts, they actually work together in perfect harmony. Think of your smartphone. When you press the power button, the firmware embedded in the hardware springs to life. It does a quick hardware check, makes sure everything is in order, and then loads the operating system. That's software. From there you can open apps, browse the web, and do all the things you love on your phone. The firmware acts like the foundation, providing a stable platform for the software to run on. Without firmware, the software wouldn't even have a place to exist. It's a beautiful example of how two very different technologies can work together seamlessly. Section 6. Why should you care? You might be thinking, Linus, this is all very informative, but why should I care? Well, understanding the difference between firmware and software can actually make you a more informed tech user. For example, if you know that a slow computer might be due to outdated software, you can try updating your operating system or applications before assuming your hardware is toast. Or, if you're having trouble with a specific piece of hardware, like your printer, knowing that a firmware update might solve the problem can save you a lot of headaches. Knowledge is power, people. Section 7. Beyond the basics, firmware and software in the wild. Now, we've just scratched the surface here. Firmware and software are everywhere. Think about your car. It's basically a computer on wheels these days. The engine control unit, or ECU, relies heavily on firmware to manage all the complex systems. Or how about smart home devices like thermostats and security cameras? They all depend on a delicate dance between firmware and software to keep your home running smoothly. The world of firmware and software is vast and constantly evolving, but hopefully this gives you a solid foundation to understand the tech that powers our modern lives. Section 8. Wrapping it up. So there you have it, folks. The difference between firmware and software in a nutshell. Remember, firmware is the low-level foundation baked into your hardware, while software is the flexible and user-friendly layer on top. They're both essential and work together to make all your favorite gadgets tick. Next time you're using your smartphone, gaming console, or even your microwave, take a moment to appreciate the hidden world of firmware and software that makes it all possible. Keep those CPUs cranking, and I'll catch you in the next video. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more tech tips and insights. And let me know in the comments below.